I've said it before and I'll say it again. I am a Pokemon master. There is no denying it. I've done like 3.5 Nuzlockes. So with the title of Pokemon Master, it comes with some perks, like being able to rank anything Pokemon related and nobody can tell me otherwise. Another perk is that you all have to subscribe and call me Daddy. What? I don't make the rules. Anyway, I've decided to rank all of the main series Pokemon regions being Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, Sinnoh, Unova, Kalos, Alola, Galar and Paldea. I won't be ranking the regions based on how good I think the games are, no. My rankings will be based on things like accessibility to areas, what sites and things there are you can do there, Pokemon availability and other factors which I'll get into. And then I'll give the region a rating out of 10. And I will just say, even though I'm mostly joking about being a Pokemon master, I have actually played through all of these regions at least once, and most of them more than once, so at least some of my nonsense will hold some truth. Oh and I won't be talking about Hisui because I'm lazy. But onto the video. In general, I think that Pokemon games are pretty well designed, and there isn't much mandatory backtracking and just boring regions. That being said, a region had to be last and I've chosen Johto. You can fight me on this, and I know there are a lot of die-hard Johto fans, mostly due to Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and yeah, those are good Pokemon games, but this video is about the region itself. I just personally feel like there isn't enough to get my sensations going. Like most of the routes are just basic stuff that you find in other games, like your basic forests, the mountain routes. I also feel like Johto Pokemon options aren't really it, aside from a couple like Mego and Ampharos. There's just so many meh Pokemon about. I'm not really ranking based on this, but the Johto gyms are just annoying children everywhere. Just give me my damn gym badge, you worthless piece of shit. Anyway, I do like how Johto has decent lore, and the actual culture and building designs on the region are pretty cool. Like I said, something had to be last though, and here was Johto looking like a fat fresh piggy ripe for the slaughter. I'd still give it a decent 6 out of 10 though, and that being for the lowest region, is not too bad. Up next I've got Kalos, the French region, and I'm not supposed to say this because I'm British, but I actually like France, mainly Normandy for all the war museums and stuff, but unfortunately none of that made it into Pokemon, for obvious reasons, because you can imagine a Pichu on a landing craft. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Kalos and Pokemon X and Y are games that are easy to hate on, but I'm actually an X and Y defender, but the region itself is just so linear. Just look at this. That is Route 1. What? Then you basically just follow the routes around until the end of the game, occasionally popping back into Lumios, which is a cool city, but then the blackout roadblock is just so stupid. Kalos just doesn't really have the optional locations that other regions do. Like, did anyone actually bother going to the Battle Chateau? I do like the amount of Pokemon that are available, and X and Y allow for really fun Pokemon teams in a playthrough, so I give it quite a few points. But overall, I feel like France was a little disrespected by Kalos, but I'll still give it a 6 out of 10, like Johto. Up next is Galar, and yes, I absolutely feel good about placing the UK region right above the French region, but I didn't just do it to be patriotic. Galar is a region which could have been perfect, but they messed it up because of the wild area. Now lots of people love the wild area, and I do too, but there's just nothing there. Most of the region is just a field and some hills. This region is supposed to be representative of the whole of the UK, but it just looks like Wales. Absolutely disgusting. Some of the towns and cities are really quite cool and unique though, like Ballinlayer and Hammerlock, but I will never forgive Game Freak for the crime that is naming these two mines Galar Mine 1 and Galar Mine 2, which is just dull as hell. I haven't got too much more to say about Galar. Personally, I thought the region was just weird. The open world areas are a great idea, but they were poorly executed, and you didn't really get that exploring feel that you'd hope for. Like the first two entries, I've also given Galar a 6 out of 10. You know, the idea was there, but it just wasn't implemented well. Coming in at number 6 we've got Hoenn, and we all know the memes, too much water, piss off. I suppose that's actually a valid point for this video, so my bad. I just personally love the Hoenn games, and I always enjoy the region itself. I'm trying to make a fair-ish list, and I've tried to remove as much of my personal bias as possible. The Hoenn region actually does have too much water, and just so many forgettable water routes, they will just blend into one. I also don't think there are that many Pokemon available, despite the ones which are available being pretty solid. The region is just decent. I have no strong positive or negative feelings about it other than the water issue. Don't get me wrong, I do love water areas in games, they make me wet in multiple ways, but the repetitiveness just doesn't work in a Pokemon game, so I've given the Hoenn region a solid 7 out of 10. Middle of the pack now, number 5, I've picked Unova, and again, I'll try and reduce my personal opinions, but I never really liked the Unova games. But I do like the addition of seasons into these games, and I think that's a really nice touch. I also think the cities in these games are decent, but nothing too stand out. I think Black and White have issues with Pokemon availability because you just run into the same few everywhere, and Watchogs are just so annoying in these games. But a lot of the availability issues were fixed in Black 2 and White 2. I think having a Pokemon game based in America is good, but I think they could have done it a lot differently though. Because most regions are just based off real life areas, and I think that there's more interesting places in America than just New York. But that's just me. Overall, my personal opinions in Unova are pretty mid, so I've given it a decent 7 out of 10. At number 4, and this may be surprising for some, but I've got Sinnoh. The glorious Sinnoh region, one of the greats. Everyone loves the Sinnoh region, it just has a nice homely feel to it. The towns and cities are interesting enough to be different, but not too interesting to be weird. And there are loads of optional places to explore that keep the game fun and flowing. There are a good mix of routes, although the snowy ones are a real pain and make me want to curl up and die. The one big reason that keeps Sinnoh out of the top 3 are the Pokémon. I mean, what happened here? Let's use the famous example of Diamond and Pearl only having 2 fire types in the whole region. And one of them is a starter. So unless you started with Chimchar, the only fire type is the Ponyta line. Some other types like Electric, Ice and Dragon are also extremely lacking, and the lack of Pokemon availability results in gyms and Elite 4 teams looking like this. Only 2 fire types for the fire type Elite 4 member. Platinum did help to solve this issue by adding more Pokemon, and then BDSP redid the Grand Underground, although they removed some of the mons that Platinum added. It's weird, but I hope I was able to highlight the massive issue that this region has. Despite this, however, I've still given the Sinnoh region a 7.5 out of 10. Maybe this is being a little generous, but whatever. Top 3 now, and we've got the other American region in Alola. And I love this region. It's just so nice. The idea of exploring each of the islands one at a time is just really fun, and works well for a Pokemon game. This does make the games quite linear, but to make up for it I really enjoy backtracking in these games, which is very optional, but I like to do it. My overall opinion of the Alola region can be summarised by the phrase, fun in the sun. And because I played a lot of a game called Go Vacation as a kid, I really do like the idea and the whole vibe of a Hawaii based region. It makes you feel like you're actually on a nice holiday. Then you have to save the world from interdimensional ultra beasts that look like Christmas trees, but whatever, average holiday. Overall though, I'd give the Alola region a high 8 out of 10, and I would really recommend playing an Alola game every now and again, because it really helps me de-stress. Except for when the Toasted Pokemon have a double Omniboost and the fights are outrageously hard. Sorry, I'm calm, I promise. In second place we've got the old classic in Kanto. Everybody knows it, everybody loves it, you can't go wrong with Kanto. Seriously, the Kanto region used to be shoved down our throats more than a person getting unconsensual tea. I've got to give it for this region though. For Pokemon's first attempt at a region, they absolutely nailed it. The region is fun and interesting with places like the Pokemon Mansion and Lavender Town, which always gives me the creeps, purely because of the music. I also like the fact that when you beat like the 3rd gym, the whole region basically opens up for you. I think all Pokemon games should do something like this, because it actually forces you to decide where to go, and makes you feel like you're actually on a Pokemon adventure. And that's great. The Pokemon are somewhat limited, but this is mostly overshadowed by the fact that Generation 1 Pokemon are far more nostalgic than any others, so they get a pass anyway. Overall, I just love how the Kanto region is laid out, and the sense of adventure it gives you. It just makes me all tingly inside. Oh, no, that's just my cock ring. This region is great, so I've given it a beautiful 8.5 out of 10. Finally, coming in as the best Pokemon region in my opinion is Paldea. I know, this is very surprising because, well, Paldea is the newest region, and the games weren't as well received as others. I guess I'm a traitor to Pokemon if I expect you to believe that this is the best region. And while it really isn't that deep, this is still my list, so let me try and prove it to you at least. The Paldea region is very open, like you can choose where you want to go and when you want to go there, and you can do the gyms, team star fights and Titan battles in whatever order you want. And like I said with Kanto, it provides that feeling of adventure you want. I rank the Galar region low because there is nothing to do in the open areas other than the Pokemon and the occasional raids and items, but with Paldea you can wander off wherever and you'll be likely to find something interesting, with some rewards to be gained from it like cool Terra Pokemon or TMs. There's also a vast arrangement of interesting Pokemon that can be found here, and the actual region itself just being based on Spain is just a really cool idea. Overall, I think Pokemon fans don't appreciate something when they finally got it, but I think more people should step back and look at the Paldea region as an example of what all Pokemon regions should be. It isn't perfect because the system where you choose which order to fight the gyms, Team Star and Titan battles doesn't really work because they have set team levels. But if they made it a fluid system where these fights levels change depending on the player's level, it would be perfect. I've given Paldea a 9 out of 10 for this region, but I do believe that this is a fair ranking. A lot of this ranking is from my personal experience though, and because I always enjoy just wandering off around the region and setting my own little side quests, it never gets old for me. Thank you for watching this video. I do get that a lot of people won't agree with me and this video sort of turned into my own personal opinion, but I think it's something Pokemon fans need to hear because they kinda act like whiny children all the time. If you do agree or disagree, let me know your thoughts down below, because even though I act like a donkey, I still want to see other people's opinions. Well, let's face it, I am a donkey because I make really dumb jokes that I'm certain nobody likes and I'm dangerously brain dead, but what the hell. Subscribe to make me finish.